welcome and thanks again for joining the On the House podcast. I'm your host, Lando Petrie. Today, I am joined by our guest, Scott Brookshire. Scott is a producing branch manager in Virginia. Scott, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, I've had the pleasure of working with you here for a while now, getting to know you. How long have you been in the industry, Scott?
20 years this year.
20 years this year. That's three
Yep.
more years than I've been in it. So sometimes it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but then I
Yeah.
mirror and look at my original headshot, and I'm like, yes, it's
Well, the white hair gives it away a little bit. So
I've got the grays coming in, and I no longer have 4 earrings either anymore. So that definitely a change for the better on that one.
congratulations.
Yeah, we all make bad decisions. All right, so before we hop into getting into some things, as always with any guest, I have to see if you are able to take a guess at what minor league baseball team is on my hat.
Man, I got a pint of beer and what's that thing that the henchman walks around with? It looks like an acorn. I don't know, man. I am lost.
Okay, so it was between this one or one other one. The other one I thought you might be able to get a little easier because of our propensity and love of bourbon. But this is actually the Beer City Bung Hammers, and it's a bung hammer to knock the bung out of the wooden casts.
I am going to have to go add to cart. That's a cool hat.
Yeah, so it's actually, I believe it's the Grand Rapids Whitecaps in Michigan is the actual team, but they call Grand Rapids Beer City, so their alternate mascot is the Beer City Bunghammers, and they have a bunch of the beer glass mascot stuff that they do. So pretty fun one. I've had this one here for a while, but didn't have it.
That's
busted.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah. So the funny thing is Jen. Jen's a mutual friend of ours. That was the hat I wore when Jen had to guess.
All right.
She did not even come close. But of course, that is the llama from the Hickory Crawdads, which made its debut on episode 2.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So Scott, I wanted to bring you on because I think, one of the things that in getting to know you that I think you do really well is you dominate your area, right? You seem to kind of really capitalize and get a lot of market share, which doesn't just happen without doing the work. Right. And we can always say, you've got to do the work to get the results, which is absolutely. But I think what some of the younger people, aspiring people have forgotten, right? The last couple years prior to the last 2, we ate easy. Money fell from the sky a little bit. There was a lot. The inventory wasn't as bad. Rates were great. Everyone was buying, selling. Refinances were, you'd get a new one every 6 months on the same client because it got so much better and better and better. We got lazy because it was easy. It was shooting fish in a barrel for a while. And I think some people lost track on the things that they did when they started that got them to where they are now. And now we're at a point in time where things are tough. And gaining market share and having market share and not just getting it, but keeping it is an integral part of someone's ability to be successful through tough times. So what I wanted to do is start and ask, and I know you've got a diverse group at your branch, right? You've got some people that are very experienced, and as I know, you've got some guys that are relatively brand new and are doing some things. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain on a few things, but start off by saying, like, 20 years ago when you started, what were the key things that you did that helped get you up and out there in your community?
Well, 20 years ago, it was obviously a different world, but honestly, 20 years ago, we were a refinance shop, right? Like most everybody else, purchase money was there. We didn't concentrate on it. It was all about refis. And then, we took a good, long, hard look at everything, and probably 2010, 2011 said, we need to really shift gears here and we need to focus on the other. And I tell this story all the time to, especially the new guys that come in. At that point, it was just me, business partner now, and then our processor, Janet. She's been with us for a long time. And it was just the two of us, really. That's all. We were the only ones in the office. And as corny as it sounds, every Wednesday for 6 months, probably at least, we went to Dunkin' Donuts and we bought 12 dozen donuts. And we went to every single brokerage in town. And sometimes we got kicked out at the front door. Sometimes we got to actually talk to the front desk person. And I say that because we did that every single week. It was religious. I picked her up at the office at 9 a.m. We went, we got them, and we went and did this. And that's how we started to actually get in to talk to people, right? It was consistency. We were always there. We always, every week we showed up. We took that, we adopted that into mints. And so we came up with a little thing where we put our logo on mint jars, and we were buying lifesavers. And we had a little tagline that said, "Let us be your lifesaver." And we took them to all the offices, and it gave us a further excuse to come around with mints. And eventually people would start calling us, "Hey, we haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. Where's the mints?" It was just about the same thing, consistent over. And, meeting with people, we were always out and about. And I still remember the agents that first said, "Hey, you know what? You've been coming in here for a long time. Sit down." And we sat down, and we had a conversation. Lo and behold, they sent me a transaction. I don't know, a week or two later, we ended up denying that loan. It was a bad borrower situation, but I won't get into those details. So that was a little ironic. They called me and were blasting me, and then when I finally told them what had happened, they finally got it. But it's still today, they've kind of been the longest. I've been working with them since then, right? So it's been 13, 14 years. But it's just back then, man, it was all about just consistency. And we brought that and developed that, trying to give something of value instead of here's my rate sheet. Here's my rate sheet, and I can do an FHA loan, right?
How many people don't remember what an actual rate sheet was?
It's funny. We still get asked for rate sheets. Do you have a rate sheet? I'm like, absolutely not. There's no way I'm giving a rate.
I used to print them out every morning as 7 pages and manually add up the rates and be like, oh, all right, we got this. Like, yeah, that's
we had old school guys that would print the rate sheet every day and did the same thing. They'd get out and do the LLPAs and calculate it, and then they knew. It was like, nah, forget that. But trying to find something else to do, trying to give real estate agents something that would help them, rather than just, hey, like I said, here's a fancy flyer. How can we co-brand together? How can we strategize together? How can we get more buyers and leads, and you get more sales and things like that together? So just kind of evolved over to what it is today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key, right? Like the donuts, you get through the gatekeeper, right? Like you said, the front desk person, right? There was a lot of time I needed to become friends with the front desk person, and I was able to get in, all right? It was make them happy, right? But the consistency of continuous trying, right? Not giving up. And I think that's funny because, like, I think people all the time get upset at the fact that they're told no, right? And I always tell this story. It's not true, but I make it up, but kind of say it. And I was like, I've got a cousin. Man, he is uglier than sin. He has always had the hottest girlfriends out there. He's married to the hottest wife. And I'm like, I was like, as a little kid, I asked him what was he going to do. He took me to the grocery store, said, all right, see that girl over there? You're going to go talk. You're going to go ask her about a pineapple and then ask to get her number. I'm like, what? What? He's like, yeah, it's your mom's birthday. She really wants a pineapple. How do you know if it's a good pineapple? Go talk to her. Come back over. She's like, she told me to get lost. Like, I was a creep. He's like, cool. There's 3 more in the deli. We're going to go talk to them next. And he goes, by the end of the day, you'll be told no 15 times, but you'll be so used to it, you won't care who you approach to talk to. And I laugh because it's the same way, right? Everyone's got a realtor. Everyone's got a partner. Everyone's got a thing. But all it takes is one opportunity to make a connection. And I think the other thing that's important too is you said adding different value. Look, everyone's got great rates, closes loans quick. I mean, well, great rates right now, maybe not, but the old sales pitch, with what it is. But at the end of the day, how can I find money? How can I help to make you money? And it was funny because one of the things that I used to do is search my sphere of influence as much as I could and find someone who may be interested or in the next 6 months is talking about possibly buying, moving, or things like that. And I would go in, meet with a realtor, and I'd say, look, I've got a client. I know you're great. Give me a chance to do this because we have a relationship. But let me show you, and let me show you by putting money in your pocket. I have someone who's interested. They're talking, they're thinking this is their timeline. I'll bring them to you. You just keep it with me. I will keep it with you. And let me get a chance. And sometimes, now I didn't always have those options, but it would open a door for me to get an opportunity to then work with them, communicate with them, and now say, hey, we did a great job. Let's talk about what we can do for the next one, how we can get the next one. And just try to approach them with something that puts some money in their pocket, because at the end of the day, that's why they're all doing it.
Spot on, and the other thing that we really try to preach is, especially to the new young guys who are coming in, is this is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And if you think this business is a sprint, then you might as well go find something else. It is going to take time. It is going to take a lot of rejection, because people do have their people set in stone, but you never know. The more phone calls you make, it's no different than leads and loans coming in, right? The more and more you're there, the more you're out, the more you talk to folks, the more and more opportunity that opens up for yourself. You can't sit at a desk anymore. You have to be out, you have to be present, you have to be front of mind. And you'd be surprised just walking into a office,
Yeah.
what that will bring. I walked into an office this morning to deliver a closing gift for a closing tomorrow morning that I can't attend because it's too early. I've got to get my kid on the bus. And I was there for 45 minutes talking to everybody. I was just talking, right? I stopped in and just had good conversation with everybody.
And it's the key, right? Relationships take something to be nurtured, right? You have to continue to stay top of mind, or you fall back. Okay, so that's kind of the stuff you did when you started. Now, I think we all, since COVID, had to make a shift, right? That kind of changed some things on how you interact. And I also think too, because of that, some people got used to doing things over Zoom, not being there, not attending closings. Open houses weren't the same. Like, how have you kind of combated some of those trends where people got into those norms and that started to become their main point of communication, to where we're coming out of everything and now we got to kind of get back into a new flow, but change a little bit because it's a little different than when, a decade ago.
Well, and it is, and I think part of that, even so during COVID, we weren't allowed to go anywhere, right? We couldn't go to closings, we couldn't go to agent, we could do nothing. So I sat at home for a year like everybody else did. But some of the things that we still did do during that time, when there were events, we were there, we were sponsoring. I believe, if my memory serves, we do like 4 or 5 major pop-bys a year, usually geared around holidays. We didn't stop that. We still made those, and we just dropped them at their doorstep because at some point someone was going in the office, right? So we just continue to do those little things. But I think now I offer people face to face. I give them that option. It's like, oh, you can meet me face to face. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. Come in. I'll put you up on the big screen back here behind me, and we'll talk about your numbers so you actually see what we're talking about. And it's amazing that people even think that you will still do that, right? But those things. But during COVID, we didn't, as a group, we did not stop doing what we had done for years that helped make us successful. We didn't stop. And I think that was a huge key to doing what we did those years.
I think too, like the face-to-face interaction, right? Too many times people fall victim to the majority of our clientele, right? Our clientele are getting younger, right? 8, 9 years ago, it was a lot of people refinancing, a lot of people up buying, people getting their retirement home. Now we're going to probably be in the 27 to 39 range, right? It's going to be a ton of the people we're dealing. Technology's key, but a lot of them get in a hurry, right? Like it's funny because I can't go into the doctor and be like, hey, my back hurts, give me a prescription. Like, they're going to do an examination. They're going to take the time. And if he does just hand you a prescription, probably not the doctor you want to be at. I tell people, that's the same thing I tell people all the time. I said, you have an office, bring them in, talk to them, have a discussion. And I'm like, a mortgage application should not take 10 minutes because it's the largest financial thing all the time. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, they're like, well, they said Quicken could get only needs 10 minutes on the phone. I said, then tell them the purchase of your home is worth more than 10 minutes of my time. We're talking about a vessel to create generational wealth. And I think too, when they sit down, they see options. And I think the other thing that's important too, for when someone like you that's in an office, when they see you sitting down face to face, it motivates other individuals because they see someone else is doing the work that's leading to success. It gives them an option, right? I think too, one of the things that I like the most when a customer comes in and I'm sitting down and I'm talking to them is I'll purposely do it with my door open, or I'll do it somewhere where I know the individuals out there can hear what I'm saying. Pick up what I have to say. Listen, steal it verbatim. If it's good, go for it. But I think that's the thing, like, right, the face-to-face aspect of stuff, people don't go in, they don't make the attempt, right? We all want things to go back to where they were. I think too, something that, another thing that you guys do, I think, with some of the younger guys I've heard, you're big in open houses.
Yeah, huge. So I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I actually went and did an open house with one of my buddies and real estate agents here. And I walked in on Monday and I told everybody that, and everyone was like, "You did an open house? What? What? You?" I'm like, "Yeah, I absolutely did it. It was a great time. It was 2.5 hours of my day on a Sunday, and got to spend some time and chit chat with my buddy and a real estate partner. We had clients through, picked up a transaction.
Yeah.
But the open house thing, just one of our new guys, every Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday, he picks up the phone. Hey, I see you're doing an open house. Would love to come out and just sit with you. Blah blah blah. He just last weekend he sat down with one, and just so happened he made the phone call at the right time. That real estate agent was in the need of starting to look for a new partner. He went and he sat with her, did the open house last weekend. He's doing two of them this weekend with her, I think, at two different houses. And he's developed it was like that, right place, right time. But the open houses are huge. They're people want them. If homes are sitting, the sellers want them. The real estate agents are going to be there. Go have some fun.
Yeah. So open houses are important to me because that's how I got my first ever transaction and my first relationships. And I had a different way to approach it because at the time I'm the youngest guy on the block. I'm 21 years old, don't really know any 21-year-old realtors. It was a little bit of people, the older crowd was still the people that were there. But what I did is I'd call on individuals, you'd get the no's and everything. So then I just started to go and see where are the open houses in the city, where I'm at, where my office is. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd map them out. And then what I would do is I would go and I would get two airplane bottles of liquor, whatever it was, Fireball, vodka, Jack Daniels, whatever, individual aspirin, a bottle of water, and a granola bar. And I'd wrap it up, and I just said first aid kit. And I would make sure that I timed it right to be right at the open house when it started before it got busy. I'd walk in. I wouldn't even really necessarily introduce myself. I'd go to the agent. I'd hand them. I'd say, "Hey, it's a beautiful house. Good luck. I know you're going to need this. Hope it works out for you." And I would leave. My business card would be in there, but I'd just leave. And then Monday, I'd call them and ask them how it went. Hopefully, you enjoyed the shots, figured you could need them after a busy day, the aspirin, whatever it was. And I just started doing it every single weekend. And then when people would call on Monday, I found it more receptive because
Mm-hmm.
stop. And by the end of the year, I had 8 people referring me deals and I was up and running to go more. And I just was a different way. I didn't want to, I'm not here to take your time. I know I'm not your agent. There's probably another lender already here. I don't care. I was going to drop off 2 shots and some aspirin and I'm going to get out of here. And then I'm going to find a way to call. But what I would do now that's different than then, because it didn't exist back then, is I would totally, if I did that, I would walk outside the house and I would put a social media post. I would tag the agent, beautiful house. Here's the address, open house today from this time. Boom. And I would share it and tag them and everything without them even knowing who the hell I am. Because now I'm going to try to get more publicity out there. And I think it's a good idea. That's not hard. It's a minimal expense. I mean, you can buy a bunch of those airplane bottles for pretty cheap.
That idea is fantastic, and don't think I won't be talking about it.
Absolutely. It's, it's a good way. And instead of, if you don't have one to go to, I can knock out 8, 9, 10 in 2 hours. Just depends on
Yeah.
how far off the drive. And I'm, I literally did it. For me, it's the ability to then try to open the door to that Monday conversation. Can we get a beer sometime? Can I talk to you? Look, turn downs, throwaways, stuff they can't do. Let me know. Don't,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, but just kind of crack the door open to where I can stick my foot in. And I think, that's important. I know a lot of people in our area, they don't go. They don't do the open houses. They're not calling. They're not willing to. And there's nothing bad that comes from it.
No, not at all. It's only positive, except for no thank you, hang up the phone. Okay, that's just part of the rejection process. Move on.
Absolutely. And guess what? I'm going to call you again the next one I see.
And if you don't call and you show up like you were doing, hey, that's even different. So
It was, hey, you can't reject me. For all you know, you don't know who I am. And
yep.
I gave you 2 bottles of small booze.
That's awesome.
Just got to make sure that you just, don't go to the one where they know they don't drink. And then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
But,
Here's a bottle of water.
Yeah, look, your chances are pretty good they do in real estate. So
Yeah, leave it for the homeowner if not.
yeah, so absolutely. So the other thing I think that's important to talk to you guys about is that, there's certain things too, outside of just realtor partners, right? Partnering and doing those actions. I think that you guys do a lot of this. I think that's good too, is the organic stuff you can do inside the community that gets your name out there. That may not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily be real estate owned, things like that. Are there anything that you guys try to do to, let the community know, hey, these are the faces of who we are and we're here. And it may not necessarily be, a real estate agent. It could be partnering with an agent with a brokerage, but that's not, home ownership counseling calls and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of we try to do a lot of charity stuff in the local community and support the local businesses. So, for example, we all of our closing gifts, we support local small business, right? So everything that goes in those is all local small business supported. We co-sponsor big events at one of the local farmers market outdoor event venues, biggest one here actually. We kind of come in and we tag up with them when we do big events and co-sponsor it. So, to get your name out there. A lot of the charity stuff we do, though, we like to do it under the radar. We do it under out of the goodness of our heart, and we don't want our names blasted out there. But eventually it gets around, right?
Yeah.
But we do the Toy for Tots drives, we do the food, the stuff, the truck stuff, and we kind of hitch up with an agent who might be doing it because it's their interest, right? But we're doing it for the charity's sake. So, and if it gets on social media, cool. If it doesn't, if not, it's just our way of doing good for the community, right? But it eventually word gets around.
No, absolutely. And I think more than just like the charity thing, I was talking more like the farmers markets, the things like that, where you do the craft show. We've done stuff where in the local community, we come in and we blast it out to everyone we know. And it's like, hey, be at Dunkin' Donut between 6:30 to 8:30, every teacher gets a free coffee. And we literally have a buddy's wife has one of those laser engravers, and we buy just a cheap cup. And we put, teachers are the best, whatever. And then our logo real small on the ball, and they all get a free cup. And here's your thing. And just, hey, teachers are the best, right? I happen to be married to one, so it goes over well with her.
Me too.
But we'll do stuff like those types of things. I think you said cool. So your closing gifts, you support local communities.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that, in Columbus that we've done, or that I've done, is there's a gentleman, and we did this was we helped him kind of get his new business, and he has a business called Clean Eats. It's prepackaged, super healthy, good for you foods that you can heat up, microwave. It's either meal plans. He has 2 stores. You can grab and go, order, eat there. He was trying to get his business out, and we knew him, and we wanted to put together some stuff to show local businesses and other things they were doing and help them with some social media. Well, what I started to do is think about, man, all right, how else could I help you to get your name out there? So he gave me a deal, and for closing gifts, what I would do is I'd bring something to the closing, but the morning before I went to the closing, I meet up with the agent, and I put 10 meals in the freezer or the fridge. I'd get the keys with the agent, show up, supporting the local business, his things all on him, because you're going to be hectic. You're moving in, you got kids, you put stuff away, and all of this is good, healthy, nutritious meals. Here's a couple business cards. There's 10 in the freezer for you. You got dinner, you got lunch, and his name's getting out there. It's helping this guy who's doing a local business support things. But it went over really well, just because it's like, dude, your first couple dinners are on me. I didn't have to give them a gift card. No one wants to go to Applebee's after they got done moving their couches around and things like that.
No.
But you can sit in your house, and it's different than getting them a bottle of wine and things like that. Hey, here's a gift, and then check the freezer when you get home. I got you guys dinner for a couple days to make sure that it's relaxing. So,
and that's what funny you say that. In our closing gift, one of the things that we've done historically for years is pasta and pasta sauce.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that night you get pictures from your clients, say, look what we have for dinner. This was awesome. Thank you.
It's just, it's a simple way, and anyone who's ever moved knows it sucks. And and then you're ordering pizza, and you got to remember, well, what's the new address that I live at now? Where's it at? And this way it's like, okay, something healthy, something good and quick and easy, ready to roll. I think that's interesting. So one of the things I'll say too is like, going forward, right, with things where they're at, like our initiatives, any new ideas or any things that you guys are like, hey, I think this is important to maybe, or the next step, like something different you haven't done that you guys are kind of thinking or brainstorming about maybe doing in the future or trying to implement right now?
I mean, other than staying the course of it and moving forward, not really new and implementing. We're always trying to find new things to come in and give value, right? One of the things that one of our newer guys, we told him, I don't know, about 4 months ago, we said, hey, learn ChatGPT, learn it. And he did. And I think to date we've probably done 12 classes, 10 to 12 classes. We'll bring agents and whole brokerages into our office. We'll go to them and do it. But we're going and just teaching ChatGPT. Everybody's using it, right? You see it out there, and it's not hard to throw something in there and then copy it and paste it. But knowing the intricacies of it, what you shouldn't be doing, and how to really utilize it and manipulate it to really be a useful tool, he's teaching it, and it's awesome. It's something of value, right? And it gets us in FaceTime in, and we've had whole brokerages call us up and say, hey, we heard you were doing this. Can you get us over, or can you come see us? And it's just been a really useful tool, if nothing more, just to break down the barrier and get in the door.
It's funny you say that, because I just submitted to the state a GPT class to be approved for CE, so I can give them CE with it too, and get it
That's
done.
even better.
Yeah, I figure I'm going to teach them anyway, because I mean, I've used it to write 18-page manuals. Shameless plug, all the podcasts and social media posts, I use ChatGPT to put all of them together. So
yeah,
definitely one of those things that happens. But I think it's a great idea, because you're exactly correct. The funny thing is I have a gentleman who I've been a good friend for. He's trying to sell his house. I made a personal website for him. I literally said, list out all the features and stuff and who built your house, threw it into ChatGPT and was like, I need a real estate listing targeting borrowers looking for a custom home in this area. And boom, here's your whole paragraph listing. Let me put it on the website. Because I mean, look, spell check's my best friend, but I'm terrible at writing stuff out. And to use this, like you said, if you know how to structure it, position it, tell it its audience, and how quickly it can do things, it's a huge tool. And I think even more than that, something to think about is the other AI that is out there that you guys can learn. There's certain things. So like my podcast, when I get done with this, I literally will send it to a software. I pay $100 a year, and the software will put everything into Instagram Reels and will give me 80 different Reels that I can share. And it takes it 15 minutes, and I do nothing. I just upload the document, drop it in, and it does everything. It'll put music behind it. It'll subtitle it. It'll pick the colors I want and cut up all the stuff and name it and tell me what each one segment talks about in that segment. And I'm like, I've got my next month's worth of social media done, and all I do is just drag and drop and walk away.
Yeah, it's awesome, but scary at the same time, right? It's like, whoa, but no, it just what that stuff can do. It's pretty cool. So
yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, I'll get you out of here on this. And the one thing I'll basically say is, so like with, being that it's tough. Times are hard for us all right now, but you seem to be having better success than the average individual in what is some of the hardest times. Now, 20 years, we've been through some of these, right? I don't know that I've ever seen such a drastic move like it did, but if you had advice for, let's say, someone young, struggling, trying to get that next step, trying to get some motivation, anything you would tell them that's like, hey, this has kind of been my mantra through one of the hardest stretches that I've seen in a long, long time in this industry.
Keep showing up and be consistent. Don't stop. There's no other simple way to put it, right? Consistency is key. Be out, be about, and don't be scared of rejection, because it's going to happen. Just stick to your guns. Again, I will go back. It's not a sprint; it's a marathon. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? It's going to take time to build what you want, and if you put your mind and your heart into it, you can succeed. Just don't stop. That's the best thing that I can give advice. Just be patient with the process. It is a process.
When we were in New Orleans, you said it well. You said you just got to work.
It's got to work.
Just got to work. And I'm like, so true. Just got to work.
I mean, I just work. You did forget something though, didn't you? Have a question, another optional question tonight?
So, I was going to ask what bourbon you were going to go to. I don't have a glass in hand, but if you have one, what are we drinking?
Well, I mean, I won't do this till I get home, but I did get a little shipment in today. I mean, I got a really nice bottle here that popped in.
That's nice.
And then a little unicorn bottle that popped in as well.
Oh, 18? Okay, I've got knob 18, 15, and 12.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I've not seen the 18 not in a wood case.
Yeah, I had somebody that we both know found that for us. For me, sorry.
That's a good one. I think I know who that individual is, but I have have to say I can't say that I have anything cool and new that I've gotten in a while. It's all just been regular stuff that's quickly been emptied. So
Well, that happens, yes.
it does. It does. Cool, man. Well, hey, look, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're busy. Thank you very much. It's all great information. I think hopefully it's going to help somebody who could need to hear different ideas or just motivate them to just get back to doing the basics that made you successful. And I think that's the key. When times get tough, you got to go back to what's your tried and true and know that works. So really appreciate you taking time out of your day for me, my man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks a
Hey, you
lot.
have a great one. Bye.
You too.